All right, Rick, how you doing today?
Dustin, thank you so much. And from Mankato to all over Minnesota and beyond, it's a joy to be on with you.
Yeah, it's an honor to be speaking with you. As a guy in radio myself, obviously you are one of the people who have paved the way, so I appreciate that.
Oh, just a joy to hear that. Isn't it fun?
It's interesting for sure. I'll give you that.
Now, where did you grow up, Dustin?
Here in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. In fact, our executive vice president of our company that put out this dessert book grew up in Minneapolis, Joe Kiley, and so we just love to go back every year. There's a big convention, and it's just the nicest, greatest people in the world. No better place.
Well, Rick, I know you mentioned your book. If you could tell the listeners a bit about that, Rick Dees Top 40 All-Time Top 40 Greatest Desserts.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, I've been on the radio doing the Rick Dees Top 40 Countdown for a few years, and Dustin, I have to tell you, my hobby, though, when I get off the air, going back to when I was 10 years old, is dessert baking. So it just came out today. It's on Amazon, and this, if you buy it, is the Bible of the desserts that you will have people say, I can't believe how good this is. Top 40 greatest desserts, and every one elicits that response. We're talking about grandma's cake, graham cracker toffee, the most incredible red velvet cake ever, the most moist pound cake, the ultimate hot fudge sundae, on, and it starts right here, Dustin, with the best pie crust ever. And here it is, just so you'll get the book, because this will seal it for you. On page 19, it's butter and lard in the pie crust. And anybody in Minnesota listening knows the difference between shortening and lard. L-A-R-D. You freeze the butter, you freeze the lard, you grate it with a cheese grater into the dry ingredients, barely toss it with a fork, you add ice water and vodka, and then barely toss that, mash it down lightly, just very gently into two little discs, put it in the refrigerator, and it makes the greatest pie crust ever.
You know, Rick, you've done so much stuff in your career that I guess it shouldn't be surprising that you're also a baker by trade.
Well, I was, like I said, the fattest kid in the fourth grade, and that's the way the book starts out. It's very autobiographical, but my friend Wolfgang Puck did the foreword. We've been friends for years. He's the nicest guy. And then my other best friend and college roommate, Ken Lowe, the inventor and creator of home and garden television, writes a little part in the introduction of the book. And then his wife, Julia Baker Lowe, has one of the top 40 desserts. She gave me her secret recipe for graham cracker toffee, which is so easy to make, but just unbelievably delicious.
Yeah, it sounds great, and I know the listeners out there, especially around these parts, always looking for some reason to bake, especially during the winter.
Well, during the winter, I'll give you a perfect example. There's Aunt Mary's pumpkin pie, and you say, well, what would be the difference in this one and others? This is the purest tasting, the best balance of flavors, and with the pie crust that I just mentioned, you got to understand, Dustin, it's perfect. And it just went on Amazon now. So if you look up Rick Dees, D-E-E-S, Top 40 Desserts, you'll see it. It's the highest quality cookbook, dessert book ever. It's more what I call a kitchen tabletop book. And, Dustin, it's just so much fun to be able to say, I promise you, this is the greatest gift you can give yourself or somebody else. Once again, it's a high-quality book. If you're looking for something that costs $2, don't even worry about it. This is the real deal. And I'm giving a big portion of the proceeds to the Salvation Army. So it is worth the investment, but it's the finest dessert book ever.
Excellent. And I know you mentioned you're still doing, of course, the weekly Top 40 show, and radio just in general really has changed a lot since back in, your Memphis days with Disco Duck up till today.
Are you kidding? It really has. In fact, on this day a few years ago, Dustin, I was very blessed to have the number one song in the world called Disco Duck. And then since that time, I started and have had the longest continuously running countdown where I've been able to go from saying, here's Michael Jackson to here's Taylor Swift. And that's a real blessing and so much fun. We do it every week. Now we're up to 70 million listeners around the world.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. What do you think, I guess, of regular, terrestrial radio? Is that on its way out, and this is maybe the new way things are going to be?
Well, it's interesting. I think radio will always be around. There are just several choices. I'm putting a lot of emphasis at looking at the future of streaming, meaning, for example, if you think about the different services that are out there, everybody's competing, but it's hard to find a Dustin Wilms. So as long as you're doing the great show you do, then there's really no problem because people are attracted to you. And you're like those great people in radio. Before you hit the microphone switch, you always say, what's in it for Mankato? What's in it for the listener?
Sure.
And that's why you're number one.
Well, again, Rick, as we mentioned, you've been doing the show for so long, and it's been an honor speaking with you. I got to say, just kind of off topic, but the title track from the Meatballs soundtrack, one of my all-time favorite songs.
Oh, I'm so glad. I wrote and sang that for the Bill Murray movie, and it sold really well. It did just like Disco Duck. And then I have two songs that were in Saturday Night Fever, and then was Late Night opposite Johnny Carson for a couple of years. And to be honest with you, it feels so great not to, if you do a late night show, you have no life. You look at David Letterman or Jimmy Fallon or any of these others that are very talented guys and ladies, it just takes up your entire life. So I remember my son looking up at me and saying, "Hey, Dad, how long are you going to do this?" And he was 8 years old, and I went in that day and I said, do I make more money from doing radio or television? And I made more from radio, and I quit the TV show, and I'm so glad I did.
Well, Rick, it's we could talk to you for a long time. I know we've run out here, but...
Once again, here we go. It's Rick Dees All-Time Top 40 Greatest Desserts. It's on Amazon, makes a great gift. A portion of the proceeds, a large portion going to the Salvation Army, and I just can't wait to have you get it.
Awesome. Again, Rick, I'm a huge fan, and thanks so much for your time today.
Dustin, thank you, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.